Outer space, the final frontier. Well, besides the fact that we have like 99% of the ocean left to explore, but that's not why you clicked on today's video. You want to know all the juicy facts about outer space and the universe that are not so commonly known around the globe. This is the ultimate universe iceberg explained. And for all you guys that don't know what an iceberg is, it starts off with the most known facts about the universe, but as the video progresses, we will go further down the iceberg and start to get into all the not so commonly known facts like government secrets and possible doomsday events. Not to mention the planet that we have found that probably has life on it. But quickly, before we actually get into the ultimate outer space or universe iceberg, please like the video and subscribe. This is only my second video on YouTube, and the support on my first video was pretty crazy. And all right, without further ado, level 1. This is the part of space that most of us are familiar with. The moon that illuminates our night skies, our burning sun, and the 8 or 9 planets, whether or not you consider Pluto a planet. However, we'll also go into some interesting subjects and topics that are not so commonly known, and not to mention the ongoing hunt for life for planets and moons that are in our solar system. Also, have you ever considered the fact that we have an asteroid headed straight for us within the next 10 years? The 8 or 9 planets. 8 planets make up the solar system: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Not to mention Pluto, if you consider Pluto a planet. All of them orbit our life-giving star, the sun, and each has distinct features of its own, such as the freezing winds of Neptune and the scorching temperatures of Mercury. The sun. The sun is a huge, flaming ball of helium and hydrogen. The energy required for life on Earth is generated by its nuclear fusion reactions, which power the entire solar system. If it wasn't for the sun, our planet would be a frozen wasteland without the heat and light provided by the sun. The moon. For millennia, people have been captivated by the moon, the sole natural satellite of the Earth. It may have even contributed to the emergence of life and regulates the tides and Earth's axis. Craters dot its surface, left behind by many asteroid collisions over billions of years. The search for life. In the universe, are we alone? Well, come to find out, we might find out really soon. In their quest to find alien life, scientists investigate Earth's harsh ecosystems, looking for signals in the sky, and also traveling to planets and moons like Mars and Europa, which could have the conditions needed for life. There is no air in space. Come to find out, there is literally no air to breathe or transmit sound, since space is essentially a vacuum. It is a harsh environment for not only humans, but all forms of known life in the universe because of the intense radiation and low humidity caused by the absence of an atmosphere. For astronauts to survive in this airless void, as you know, they require specialized suits that cost a ton of money. Satellite TV. Satellites dedicated to communications carry phone, internet, and television signals all around the world from their orbit. These satellites are necessary for modern communication and technology because they let us observe events in real time, get information quickly, and maintain relationships with people wherever they are in the world. Hell, even if they're not on Earth. Killer asteroids. Asteroids have already attacked Earth, and come to find out, they definitely will again. A huge asteroid produced the catastrophe that killed out the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. Scientists always like to keep a close eye on near-Earth objects in order to stop killer asteroids from causing catastrophic impacts in the future. But with the technology we have today, our likelihood of actually stopping an event like this is very tiny. So would the government even tell us if an asteroid was guaranteed to hit us in 10 or 20 years? Probably not. Well, astronomers don't necessarily think Apophis will collide with Earth on its current trajectory. On April 13th, 2029, they now predicted it will come within 10,000 miles of Earth, which is extremely close. Neil Armstrong. On July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong became the first person to set foot on the moon, making history. Or did he? His famous quote, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," represents both the accomplishments of humanity and the boundless potential for future discovery. But what many people find weird about Neil Armstrong is that he never really gave many interviews after the actual moon landing. But it is also worth noting that Neil Armstrong was a generally reserved and quiet person person who didn't really enjoy the limelight and disliked talking about himself. He did strike many people as being a rather shy person, though his friends and fellow astronauts said he was more capable of loosening up in private and was a lot of fun when he was around people that he actually knew well and felt comfortable with. Many people assume Armstrong was specifically handpicked to be the first man on the moon, and while he did have a great reputation with NASA management, really it was just his turn. Armstrong was due for command of an Apollo mission when it was time to assign the prime crew for Apollo 11. In fact, if Apollo 8 and Apollo 9 hadn't switched mission assignments, the commander of Apollo 11 probably would have been Pete Conrad, who actually commanded Apollo 12. After leaving NASA in 1971, Armstrong became a professor of aeronautical engineering at the University of Cincinnati. He made a very specific point of telling his students that he was there to teach and they were there to learn, and his class wasn't a place for tourists. But on the flip side, people do find it kind of weird that he left NASA only 2 years after the moon landing, one of the greatest accomplishments of humanity. Now, as we get deeper into the iceberg, let's move on to level 2. This is where things start to get a lot more interesting. We are venturing further into the unknown with projects like the International Space Station, daring expeditions like Curiosity rover, and even the inevitable dying of the sun. NASA's Space Shuttle. NASA's reusable spaceship, the Space Shuttle, was in service from 1981 to 2011. It launched satellites, transported humans into space, and assisted into the construction of the International Space Station, the ISS. The devastating Challenger and Columbia disasters, which lost over 14 lives, has tarnished its reputation. Yuri Gagarin. The first person to travel into space was Yuri Gagarin. He became a global hero on April 12, 1961, when his Vostok 1 spacecraft entered Earth's orbit. The fierce US-Soviet space competition and human space exploration began with Gagarin's mission. The Big Bang. The universe's genesis is explained by the Big Bang hypothesis, which postulates that the cosmos started as a singularity about 13.7 billion years ago. All the matter and energy were produced from its explosion and went on to expand into the huge, intricate world that we see today. Not to mention, a lot of people have some theories that this is a never-ending cycle, but the Great Attractor is something that we'll get into later on, and I will explain. There's no sound in space. Space is hauntingly silent because there is no medium for sound waves to pass through. Space is a place where even the biggest explosion would be absolutely silent, since on Earth, sound is actually carried by air. Pluto is a planet. The International Astronomical Union reclassified Pluto, which was once the 9th planet, as a dwarf planet in 2006. For many who grew up with Pluto as the smallest planet in the solar system, this decision caused a large debate and emotional uproar. I'm still emotionally frustrated with this decision. While we're at it, let's start a debate in the comments. Is Pluto a planet? The ISS. The International Space Station, which circles the planet every 90 minutes, is a representation of international collaboration. It has been continuously occupied since 2000, acting as a platform for multinational space exploration initiatives, as well as a laboratory for scientific inquiry in microgravity. Constellations. Ancient societies employed constellations or star patterns for storytelling and navigation. There are now 88 recognized constellations, each having a mythology and folklore attached. Astronomers use these star patterns to locate objects in the sky and further their understanding of the cosmos. We chose to go to the moon. An entire generation was motivated by President John F. Kennedy's 1962 speech at Rice University. In this speech, he reaffirmed America's commitment to sending a man on the moon by the end of the decade. This crazy proclamation paved the way for the Apollo missions and the monumentous moon landing in 1969. The Curiosity rover. Since 2012, NASA's Curiosity rover has been investigating Mars in an effort to find evidence of prehistoric life. Curiosity examines the Martian soil and atmosphere using a variety of scientific equipment, gathering vital information about the planet's past and possible habitability. The sun will die. Like all stars, the sun has a life cycle. Eventually, it will run out of nuclear fuel in around 5 billion years, grow into a red giant, and then finally lose its outer layers to leave behind a white dwarf, which is a dense, faint residue of its former existence. Elon Musk. One of the main forces behind contemporary space exploration is SpaceX's CEO, Elon Musk. His organization wants to push the envelope of what is feasible and usher into a new age of commercial spaceflight by colonizing Mars and lowering the cost of space travel. Now we're moving on down to level 3. This is where we're going to start talking about some crazy ideas like exoplanets and the simulation hypothesis. We'll examine the possibility of a black hole spawning right next to the Earth, the universe's mysterious age, and the Uranus tilt. Sputnik. Launched on October 4th, 1957 by the Soviet Union, Sputnik 1 was the first artificial satellite to orbit the Earth. The space race between the US and the USSR was sparked by this accomplishment, which signaled the start of the space era. Simulation hypothesis. According to the simulation theory, our world might be a manufactured simulation just like a video game. Think Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption, etc. Just way more advanced. Prominent philosophers and physicists have suggested that we may be living in a simulation of a world that sophisticated civilizations have created, which raises really important concerns about the nature of existence. Exoplanets. Planets orbiting the stars outside of our solar system are known as exoplanets. Tens of thousands of these planets have been found, and some are even in the zone that probably supports life. The hunt for alien life and knowledge of planetary systems is focused on these far-off worlds. Uranus is sideways. Among planets, Uranus is special because it rotates counterclockwise. The planet has a magnetic field that is highly inclined with a peculiar seasonal fluctuation due to its severe tilt. Many scientists theorize this was probably generated by a large collision early in its history. The speed of light. We've all seen Star Wars. The speed of light is approximately 299,792 kilometers per second, or 186,282 miles per second. This is the speed of light in a vacuum. This universal constant is essential to physics because it establishes the maximum speed at which information may move, as well as the structure of space and time. Age of the universe. Based on studies of cosmic microwave background radiation and the universe's pace of expansion, the age of the universe is believed to be around 13.8 billion years old. This age aids in the understanding of how planets, stars, and galaxies change throughout time. Black holes. Black holes are places in space where gravity is so strong that nothing can escape from it, not even light. They are created from the remains of enormous stars and have the ability to warp space and time. This results in amazing phenomena such as event horizons and temporal dilation. Chris Hadfield. Retired Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield gained international attention during his tenure on the International Space Station through his social media presence and instructive films. His space-themed version of Space Oddity became viral online, showcasing his enthusiasm for space travel. Venus backwards. Because Venus rotates retrogradely, it spins in the opposite direction of the majority of the solar system's planets. Not to mention, one day on Venus lasts longer than its whole entire year because of its peculiar spin, and sunrises tend to happen on the west rather than the east. Michael Collins. As Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were walking on the moon, Michael Collins piloted Apollo 11's command module. He is frequently referred to as the forgotten astronaut. Collins was absolutely instrumental in the mission's accomplishment and the safe return of his fellow crew members. The moon is drifting away. The moon is actually separating from Earth at a gentle pace of 3.8 millimeters annually. Earth's tides and day length are impacted by this slow drift, which also may appear to have a major impact on the dynamics of the Earth-Moon system in the far future. Center of every galaxy. Supermassive black holes, like the one in our Milky Way, are located in the center of most galaxies. These massive celestial giants, whose masses range from millions to billions of times that of the sun, are essential to the development and evolution of our galaxies. Satellites that orbit Earth. Numerous satellites, including those for communication, weather forecasting, and scientific observation, are in orbit around the Earth. From low Earth orbit to geostationary orbit, these satellites follow distinct orbits that are appropriate for various missions and objectives. Space shuttle disasters. Two terrible mishaps and tragedies befell the space shuttle program, Challenger in 1986 and Columbia in 2003. Both incidents that occurred claimed the lives of every crew member and forced NASA to reevaluate the hazards associated with human spaceflight, as well as make substantial adjustments to its safety procedures. Apollo 13. The goal of Apollo 13, which was launched in 1970, was to be the third mission to make a moon landing, but an explosion in the oxygen tank made it a real struggle for survival. NASA dubbed the crew's miraculous return beyond all odds their successful failure. Laika. When Laika flew in 1957 on the Soviet spacecraft Sputnik 2, she became the first animal to orbit the planet. Despite not making it through her trip, her voyage proved that living things could withstand a launch into space and space conditions, opening the door for human spaceflight. Now we're going even deeper. Level 4. At this point, things start to become really strange. Level 4 covers cosmic radiation, famous supernova, and even the origin of TV static. So buckle up and be prepared to be perplexed. The tyranny of the rocket equation. The difficulty of launching a spaceship is summed up by the rocket equation. The more fuel you carry, the more fuel you need to carry. This tyranny restricts a spacecraft's cargo and range, which spurs advancements in propulsion technology. Historic supernova. Supernova are intense explosions that occur when big stars die. Astronomers from antiquity have recorded historical supernova, such as the Crab Nebula in 1054 AD and Kepler's supernova in 1604 AD, which are still being researched today to learn more about the history of our stars. Stellar classification. The spectral type of a star determines its classification, with hot blue O-type stars and cold red M-type stars among them. Astronomers may learn more about a star's temperature, brightness, and possible lifespan thanks to the classification and categorization, which also sheds light on the star's present condition and potential future evolution. Cosmic rays. High-energy space particles known as cosmic rays continuously attack the Earth. They come from far-off stars, the sun, and even supernova. The study of these particles are crucial for space travel because they may disrupt electrical equipment in orbit and pose existential threats to humans. Micrometeorites. Little space rocks known as micrometeorites are constantly falling on Earth. Their small size and fast velocity may inflict tremendous damage, making them a threat to personnel and spacecraft. Examining them aids in our comprehension of the solar system's makeup. TV static. The Big Bang's afterglow, also known as the cosmic microwave background radiation, is responsible for part of the static you see on an out-of-tune TV. This weak signal was discovered in the 1960s and offers vital proof for the universe's creation and growth. The Kuiper Belt. Beyond Neptune is an area known as the Kuiper Belt, which is home to dwarf planets like Pluto and other ice bodies. Much larger than the asteroid belt, it is home to comets that periodically travel to the inner solar system. And let's not forget the gap in the Kuiper Belt. This could imply that there is a large gravitational body orbiting there, aka Planet 9. Although this is completely hypothetical and we cannot yet confirm nor deny that there is a 9th planet in our solar system. The Oort cloud. A fictitious far-off cloud of frozen objects encircling the solar system is known as the Oort cloud. It is believed to be the source of long-period comets, which are regarded to mark the farthest boundary of our cosmic neighborhood and take thousands of years to orbit the sun. Bird legs puffy face. In microgravity, astronauts frequently get bird legs puffy face, a condition in which fluid moves from their legs to their heads. This makes their face swell up and their legs become a lot thinner. One of the several physiological alterations that astronauts experience is this one. Corned beef sandwich. Astronaut John Yoon brought a corned beef sandwich onto Gemini 3 in 1965. The possibility of spacecraft hazards from the sandwich crumbs emphasized the need for specifically made space meals that won't produce trash in a microgravity setting. Antimatter. Particles that make up antimatter have the opposite charge to those of conventional matter. Energy is released when matter and antimatter collide and annihilate one another. Antimatter is being researched as a possible component of cutting-edge propulsion system and as a means of deciphering the universe's beginnings. Fusion. The sun is powered by nuclear fusion, which is the process of joining lighter atomic nuclei to create a heavier nucleus while releasing a tremendous amount of energy. Fusion is currently being explored by scientists as a clean, almost infinite energy source, but it is still difficult to achieve steady, continuous fusion on Earth. The Fermi paradox. The Fermi paradox asks why we don't have any proof of alien life in light of the size of the universe and the possibility of other civilizations. Many theories have been generated by this dilemma, ranging from the potential of self-destruction to the rarity of sentient life. Fasten your seatbelts because we're moving down to level 5. This is where things start to get really weird. We can expect to see diamond planets, dark matter, and the unsettling observation that the lunar flags have gone white. We'll explore space mysteries like the WOW signal, secret space missions that most people don't know about, and maybe even lifelong space travel. This level dives deep into the darker aspects of space travel and possible futures. Interstellar journey times. With present technology, it would take thousands of years to get even to the closest stars. Science fiction has examined concepts such as generation ships, cryogenic hibernation, and faster than light travel. Yet somehow, interplanetary travel continues to be one of humanity's biggest technological difficulties. The N1 secret moon rocket. The Soviet Union's response to United States Saturn V, which was intended to carry cosmonauts to the moon, was the N1. All 4 of these test flights completely failed, and the program was subsequently shelved, leaving the N1 hidden from the public for many, many years. Lost cosmonauts. According to the Lost Cosmonaut conspiracy theory, the Soviet Union concealed the deaths of many astronauts in space prior to Yuri Gagarin's flight. These stories stay in the realm of conjecture, despite a lot of claims being made with a lot of evidence, as there is really no concrete proof. Moon dust is dangerous. Because moon dust is so thin and abrasive, it may be really dangerous for equipment and astronauts. It was a major concern for future lunar missions since it wore down spacesuits and equipment during the Apollo missions and may be harmful if inhaled. Dark matter. The enigmatic material known as dark matter accounts for around 27% of the universe's mass. It is invisible to the human eye and only discernible by its gravitational pull on galaxies and other cosmic structures, since it does not emit, absorb, or reflect light. Diamond planets. It is believed that the makeup of certain exoplanets is carbon rich, which raises the likelihood of fully diamond worlds. Large diamond layers formed under extreme pressure may be present beneath the surface of these worlds, providing a window into the variety of planetary formation outside of our solar system. Solar sails. Solar sails are a proposed spaceship propulsion technology that pushes big reflective sails with the use of lasers or solar energy. Long-duration space missions or perhaps interstellar travel without the need for conventional fuel may be made possible with this technology. Flags on the moon are now completely white. The intense UV rays from the sun have probably caused the flags that the Apollo astronauts set on the moon to turn completely white. Since there is no atmosphere on the moon, the lunar climate may have destroyed the once vibrant emblems of human progress, leaving them frayed and faded. Acceleration and gravity equivalence. Acceleration and gravity are identical in Einstein's general theory of relativity. Our notion of space-time is based on the equivalency principle, which states that experiencing high spaceship acceleration is similar to experiencing gravity. Titan's lakes. On Titan, Saturn's moon, there are lakes of liquid ethane and methane. Titan is a top candidate for further investigation because of these hydrocarbon lakes, which are the only ones known to exist outside of the Earth. Not to mention also raise the prospect of unusual types of life. Cosmic inflation. According to the idea known as cosmic inflation, the cosmos expanded rapidly in the initial few seconds following the Big Bang. The universe's large-scale regularity and the current distribution of galaxies are explained by this universe's fast expansion. Apollo 1. The Apollo program's first crewed mission, Apollo 1, tragically ended in a cabin fire during a pre-launch test in 1967. It took the lives of all 3 astronauts on board. This mishap served as a sobering reminder of the risks associated with space exploration and prompted significant safety overhauls. The WOW signal. Astronomer Jerry Amann discovered the enigmatic radio signal known as the WOW signal in 1977. It may have originated from an alien source. The signal has never been replicated despite several tries, and its source is still one of the biggest unanswered questions in the hunt for extraterrestrial life. Mir incidents. Throughout its 15 years in orbit, the Soviet Union's and then Russia's Mir space station had a number of mishaps, including burns, accidents, and power outages. These difficulties put the astronauts' fortitude and the space technology's longevity to the test. Now we're going into even deeper waters. Welcome to level 6. This level combines science, history, and the unexplainable topics such as quasars' bizarre beliefs like gravity is not a force, and tragic stories like Vladimir Komarov's sacrifice on Soyuz 11. Not to mention other topics like astronauts who carried their secrets into space or Saturn's rings that mysteriously vanished. Hold on tight, this one gets really intense. Vladimir Komarov's sacrifice. When the parachutes of his spacecraft failed during the 1967 Soyuz 1 mission, Soviet cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov perished. Even though Vladimir knew the mission would not end well, he decided to fly in order to save his backup, Yuri Gagarin, from an imminent death. Gay astronauts. Though no astronaut has ever come out as homosexual while serving in the military, there is a growing discussion about LGBTQ+ representation in space exploration. To guarantee that everyone who wants to can reach the last frontier, inclusiveness and diversity in space missions are absolutely essential. Quasars. Extremely brilliant, far-off objects known as quasars are propelled by supermassive black holes located at the core of the galaxies. Astronomers like to use them to understand the early cosmos and the evolution of galaxies because they produce tremendous quantities of energy that outshine whole galaxies. The Carrington Event. The strongest solar storm ever recorded, the Carrington event of 1859 caused extensive telegraph outages and spectacular auroras close to the equator. A comparable incident today might destroy contemporary technology, causing communication networks, electrical grids, and satellites to completely malfunction. Tabby Star. Tabby Star, also known as KIC 8462852, has generated conjecture regarding an extraterrestrial megastructure due to its particular light variations. Even while the cause, a swarm of comets for example, is probably natural, this is nevertheless one of the most fascinating items in the hunt for extraterrestrial life. Saturn's rings will disappear. Ring rain is the term used to describe the progressive disappearance of Saturn's rings. Gravity is drawing little ring particles into Saturn, and in around 100 million years, the famous rings may vanish completely, leaving behind just hazy traces. Solar eclipses are just a coincidence. Because the moon is 400 times closer to Earth than it is to the sun, solar eclipses can happen. Awe-inspiring solar eclipses may be produced by the moon fully blocking the sun due to this cosmic happenstance of perfect alignment. Gravity is not a force. According to Einstein's general theory of relativity, mass causes space-time to curve, not a force. The way that objects travel in space-time along curved pathways is what we understand as gravitational pull. This groundbreaking concept revolutionized our comprehension of the workings of the cosmos. Martian canals. Astronomer Lowell made the theory of Martian canals famous in the late 1800s, speculating that they were constructed by sentient entities in order to move water. Although this theory was eventually disapproved, it sparked curiosity and gave rise to a large body of science fiction about life on Mars. Space-time might be 4D. According to the theory of relativity, space-time consists of 4 dimensions. Time is added as the 4th dimension to the 3 dimensions of space. This idea makes it possible to explain how things move and interact in the cosmos, particularly when gravity is at play. Human ashes in the outer solar system. Human ashes have been sent to the furthest reaches of the solar system by spacecraft such as New Horizons, which carried the remains of Clyde Tombaugh, the person who discovered Pluto. This custom represents humanity's never-ending search for cosmic meaning while also paying respect to the deceased. Buran. Comparable in design to the space shuttle designed by the United States was the Soviet Union's Buran spacecraft. In 1988, it made one successful unmanned orbital flight before financial problems forced the program's termination. Buran is still a representation of Soviet engineering, brilliance, and space ambition. Soyuz 11. The crew of the Soyuz 11 mission, which made history in 1971 by being the first to dock with Salyut 1, ended up perishing tragically on re-entry when the cabin depressurized. Significant modifications to Soviet spaceflight protocols and the spacecraft design resulted from this catastrophe. Welcome to the wild side of things on Level 7. We are discussing the puzzling Pioneer anomaly, space blindness, and crazy conspiracy theories like the Muamua alien spacecraft. This level combines bizarre ideas with outer space curiosities such as strange quarks and waterfalls on Mars. And honestly, this is actually where things get interesting in my opinion. We're getting pretty out of this world psychedelic as we dig further into the secrets of dark energy and the many worlds idea. The Pioneer Anomaly. The Pioneer Anomaly is a name given to the inexplicable divergence in the Pioneer 10 and Pioneer 11 spacecraft's orbital orbits. The anomaly was first mysterious, but was later identified as a result of thermal rebound forces caused by the heat released by a spacecraft. Space blindness. Space blindness is the term for visual impairment that some astronauts experience both during and after spaceflight. This is a major hurdle and difficulty for long-duration missions and is most likely caused by fluid movements in microgravity that raise pressure in the head and the eyes. The STS-7 window damage. A micrometeorite or other space debris broke through the actual Space Shuttle Challenger's glass during the 1983 STS-7 mission. The risks presented by the space debris were brought to light by this occurrence, which prompted more efforts to monitor and reduce these risks for future missions. Penis on the moon. Astronauts Alan Bean and Pete Conrad sketched a tiny, rudimentary picture of a penis on the moon's surface during the Apollo 12 mission. Though it is a hilarious and little-known tidbit, it illustrates how human nature can be lighthearted even in the somber setting of space travel. Martian waterfall. Images taken in 2015 by NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter appear to show black streaks on the crater slopes of Mars, which might be signs of liquid water. These quote-unquote waterfalls sparked optimism about the possibility of Martian microbiological life. Muamua alien spaceship conspiracy. Because of its peculiar shape and velocity, Oumuamua, an interstellar object that passed through the solar system in 2017, raised the possibility that it was possibly an extraterrestrial spaceship. Its origin is still unknown, even though the majority of experts think it's just a natural object like an asteroid or something along those lines. Dark energy. The unexplained factor that's speeding up the expansion of the cosmos is called dark energy. Despite making up over 68% of the universe, it is still relatively poorly understood, which is honestly one of the fundamental problems facing current cosmology. The Great Attractor. A gravitational anomaly in the cosmos called the Great Attractor is drawing galaxies, including our own Milky Way, toward it. The Great Attractor, in other words, is not so much a thing. It's not a star, it's not a comet or galaxy, but instead a place. And that's where we're hurtling at a dizzying 600 kilometers per second. There is a catch though, we'll never actually get there. While the Great Attractor is not necessarily considered to be a black hole, some conspiracy theorists theorize that the Big Bang is never ending and it keeps on happening. Although there is no evidence that suggests that the Great Attractor is anything more than a cluster of galaxies with just a large gravitational pull. Although its precise nature is kind of unclear because it's concealed by the Milky Way's plane, it significantly affects how our local group of galaxies move. String theory. According to the string theory, the biggest constituents of the cosmos are actually small, vibrating strings rather than points. Though this is extremely speculative and untested, this theory aims to reconcile general relativity with quantum mechanics in order to possibly explain all the forces of existence. Zuma disappearance. The 2018 launch of Zuma, a secret satellite operated by the US government, is said to have failed to enter orbit and just completely vanished. The mission specifics are still relatively unknown, which feeds rumors regarding its goal and the real reason for its absence. Venusian dinosaurs. The notion of Venusian dinosaurs is entirely hypothetical and stems from the preposterous notion that Venus may have had a tropical climate similar to Earth in the past. While nowadays we do know that Venus is a horrible place for life. According to modern findings though, it is exceedingly implausible that any life at all, much less dinosaurs, could have existed there. Strange quarks. Protons and neutrons are made up of strange quarks, a kind of fundamental particle, as well as up and down quarks. Scientists are able to better comprehend the basic forces and the behavior of matter in extreme environments, such as within neutron stars, by studying odd quarks. Many worlds. The multiple worlds every quantum event, according to one interpretation of quantum physics, produces a new parallel universe. This implies that any scenario that might possibly occur exists in a different branch of reality, creating a wide multiverse where everything is conceivable. Are you ready for a reality shift? In level 8, the most astounding physics is uncovered, including ideas like dark flow, starquakes, and the idea that photons experience no time whatsoever. We will explore ideas on the collision of fundamental forces at the beginning of the universe and the final parsec problem. This level will make you doubt everything. Starquakes. On neutron stars, earthquakes are seismic vibrations brought on by the crust cracking under the force of strong gravity pull. In addition to releasing enormous amounts of energy, these earthquakes shed light on characteristics of matter at nuclear concentrations, such as those seen in neutron star cores. The Lorentz factor. Einstein's theory of relativity relies heavily on the Lorentz factor, which describes how mass, time, and length alter for objects traveling near the speed of light. Time dilation is a phenomenon that occurs when things move more quickly than stationary ones. This phenomenon is explained by this theory. The final parsec problem. This problem of merging two supermassive black holes is known as the final parsec problem. Their gravitational wave emissions should bring them closer together as they circle closer, but other factors keep the last parsec elusive. Knowing this could eventually help us understand how galaxies develop. The Soyuz TMA-11 superstition. In 2008, the Russian spacecraft Soyuz TMA-11 encountered a perilous re-entry when its descent module made an off-course landing. In the Russian space program, superstitions concerning the number 11 were stoked by this tragedy. Because of this, some people think that the certain numbers are just very unlucky. The quote-unquote end of greatness. The end of greatness is the scale that, beyond the appearance of uniformity, leaves no structure bigger than galaxy clusters in the universe. According to this theory, matter is uniformly dispersed on the biggest scales, indicating a limit to the universe's hierarchical structure. You might be a Boltzmann brain. A hypothetical self-aware organism called a Boltzmann brain is thought to develop from random fluctuations in a large and chaotic world. The terrifying thought is that you might be one of these transient brains and your experiences and memories are only an illusion in a meaningless universe. Dark flow. Dark flow is an enigmatic large-scale migration of galaxy clusters that defies explanation by the expansion of the known universe. Certain theories imply that it might be created by gravitational forces originating from areas of space-time that are not visible to humans. Merging of fundamental forces. The four basic forces, gravity, electromagnetism, and weak and strong nuclear forces, are thought to have been originally combined into one single force in the very early cosmos. They split apart when the cosmos eventually cooled, but comprehending this merger might lead to fresh insights into physics and a single cohesive theory. CMB is quantum fluctuations. The Big Bang's afterglow, known as the cosmic microwave background, CMB, is believed to include quantum fluctuations from the early cosmos due to its minute temperature changes. This CMB represents a moment in time from the early cosmos since these oscillations ultimately resulted in the development of galaxies. Photons experience no time. The light particles, or photons, do not experience time since they move at the speed of light. A photon's trip from a far-off star to your sight is instantaneous, providing a singular window into the essence of space and time. As we move down the iceberg to level 9, things are becoming even stranger. Level 9 includes concepts like the holographic universe theory, quantum immortality, and astronaut Edgar Mitchell's thoughts on UFOs. We'll discuss some of the most controversial and forbidden space theories, like the idea that there is only one electron in the universe and higher dimensions. This is starting to get really bizarre. Quantum immortality. The contentious and theoretical idea of quantum immortality postulates that consciousness may endure beyond death in parallel realms. Although it is predicated on the many worlds interpretation of quantum physics, exploring this theory may raise really uncomfortable existential concerns. The holographic universe theory. According to the holographic universe idea, our 3D world might in reality be a projection from a 2D surface akin to a hologram. This concept, which has come from black hole physics and string theory, has the potential to completely change how we think about time, space, and the nature of the universe. Only one electron exists. According to the theory known as the one electron universe, every electron in the cosmos is the same particle that travels through time. Physicist John Wheeler proposed this theory, which provides a profoundly novel insight into the nature of particles and quantum mechanics. Astronauts believe in UFOs. Edgar Mitchell, an astronaut aboard Apollo 14, firmly believed in the presence of alien life and UFOs. His beliefs brought a distinctive viewpoint to the continuing discussion concerning UFOs and the potential presence of extraterrestrial visitors. He also asserted that governments were probably concealing any alien encounters that were recorded. The false vacuum hypothesis. According to the false vacuum hypothesis, there is a chance that our world is in a metastable condition. All of this really means that everything might vanish in an instant if it spontaneously decays into a lower energy form. Though this is entirely theoretical, quantum field theory gives birth to this terrifying scenario. Everything is a spime. A theoretical item known as the spime may be traced over the course of its lifespan and exists in both space and time. The idea, which was first proposed by author Bruce Sterling, imagines a seamless, data-rich future in which everything is tracked, connected, and recorded. Higher dimensions are folded up. Higher dimensions beyond the common 3 are compactified or folded up at the Planck length. This scale is so tiny that these dimensions are virtually invisible in certain theories, such as the string theory. This idea may help to explain why, in daily life, humans only see 3 spatial dimensions. The solar system is a zoo. According to the zoo hypothesis, highly developed alien societies deliberately keep their distance from Earth, seeing us move from above like zoo animals. This theory is only one of several that seek to explain the Fermi paradox and the seeming isolation of humans in the cosmos. This is the lowest and darkest level we've ever been to. Welcome to level 10. In this level, we will consider the idea that reality itself is only information, or that the universe is nothing more than just one basic particle. This is where science borders on the mystical, and nothing is off the table. The universe might be a fundamental particle. Our whole entire universe may be a single, very dense object if the universe is indeed a basic particle. This idea suggests that the cosmos could be an indivisible, primeval particle challenging conventional notions of both space and time. The axis of evil. There is an alignment in the cosmic microwave background radiation that has been identified as the axis of evil. Some scientists find it surprising that this alignment seems to indicate a favored orientation in the cosmos, and that it may even be a sign of unidentified physical processes or measurement biases. Reality is merely just information. According to this theory, the universe's basic components can be categorized as data or computational structures. With this perspective in mind, fundamental informational processes may give rise to emergent qualities that include physical events and even consciousness. Living stellar objects. These are celestial entities that resemble living things, such as stars and perhaps black holes. They also display intricate dynamic behaviors similar to those of living things. This idea investigates the possibility that these items have self-organizing qualities, possibly affecting their surroundings in ways that are similar to those of biological systems. Another world is visible in the cosmic microwave background. The theory that our cosmic microwave background radiation may carry traces or signs of another universe is the basis for the theory that another universe may be detected in the CMB. This may suggest a multiverse model in which traces are left by universe-to-universe collisions or interactions. Backward time travel is possible. This theory postulates that the intense gravitational fields inside a black hole could permit time to be reversed. This idea investigates the possibility that time travel within a black hole's event horizon may be possible by space-time warping close to an object. All energy is a single wave. The idea that all energy can be represented as a single wave implies a unification of different forms of energy into a singular wave function. This viewpoint implies that different forms of energy might be expressions of the same underlying wave phenomena that connect different physical processes. And there you have it, the full descent into the outer space iceberg. Don't forget to subscribe.